Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Town of Yorktown Town Board meeting for April 4th, 2023. Could we all please rise for the pledge to the flag? Luciana, would you lead us?
Certainly. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If we could please remain standing for a moment, please keep in your thoughts and prayers all of our first responders, police officers, EMTs, paramedics who keep us safe and keep us healthy on a daily basis. And also please keep in your thoughts and prayers Anna Fryer, who has passed away, longtime business owner in the town of Yorktown, up at Fryer's Nursery. And also let us not forget our brave fighting men and women who keep our freedoms for us on a daily basis. Amen. Okay. Starting from my right, introductions.
Good evening, everyone. Maura Weisletter, Deputy Town Clerk.
Ed Lachterman, Deputy Supervisor, Councilman.
Tom Diana, Supervisor.
Luciana Howard, Councilwoman. And go ahead, Sergio.
Sergio Esposito, Councilman.
Mary Capoccia, Councilwoman. Happy spring.
Adam Rodriguez, Town Attorney.
Sergio's with us via telephone. He's away, but he didn't want to miss the meeting, so he is with us. Okay, some quick reports. I don't know how many people are actually out there working on the roadways or on job sites and so on and so forth, but please remember, or please keep in mind that we have an OSHA inspector imposter that's running around. He'll have all the credentials. He'll have the pictures, the whole 9 yards, but he's an imposter. He's been hitting Putnam and Westchester, the northern Putnam and Westchester areas. If you do come in contact or hear of someone that has come in contact with this individual, please call our local police. If you can snap a picture of the plate number, that would be great. If you can, snap a picture of his ID. That would also be helpful because they are looking for this individual. He's already shut down a couple of the jobs on the Optimum folks that are running the cable, or I should say the fiber optics at this point. Okay. I have a little presentation I'm going to give you with regard to the Wyant property. As you come into town, it's a glaring... It's glaring. You come down and all you see is the open area and no trees and no house anymore. So I want to just kind of give you an idea of what's been going on since 2018 with that particular property. This isn't something that happened overnight, folks. This is something that's been vetted very carefully through several administrations. So if I could just get up, I'm just going to point to a couple things here. Okay, folks, this is a map, and Maura, could you put up the maps for the...
I'm logging in now.
He's logging in at this point, but they'll be up on the TVs in just a minute. This is a map, a proposed map of what's going to go on at the Wyant, okay? You see all the X's. Those were all proposed trees that were going to come down. They were trees that were slated to come down. They've been trees that have been vetted to come down, okay? The number of trees there, I'm not 100% certain, but it's about 160 trees, okay? They have come down. Many were dead, many were dying, some were good, but as you can see, where the X's are, all right, and when it comes up, you'll be able to see it on the screen a little bit further, they're in the middle of the houses. There were also many invasive species of these trees there that had to be cleared out. The gentleman, Gus Boniello, who is doing that project now, is using the mulch or the chips. Not only does he have the silt fencing around the property as you're supposed to, but he's also backed it up with the chips to avoid any silt mitigating through the silt fence and into places it shouldn't go. I'm going to wait for a minute for more. We'll get this flipped over.
There we go.
This comes from many phone calls that we received in the office with regard to the site up there. Like I said, it's glaring when you first come around the corner. But if anybody's been here or has been around town for a while, you remember what happened when they did the Murphy's demolition. It was glaring. People were upset. Now look what we have there. We have a, thank you, Maura. We have a street-lined streetscape with trees. We have new sidewalk. We have a beautiful building that many, many people utilize on a daily basis. Luciana said to me before, she has her office over across the street. You can't find a parking spot sometimes, right?
Cannot.
So it's a utilized portion of town that has been beautified. Now, this, what do we have up there, Maura? We have the,
You need another slide?
let's go to another slide. I'm not sure, I can't see. That's the one. Nope, that's the,
Looks like a existing conditions. How about that one?
that's the one I just had up on the
No.
easel.
Oh, okay,
Should have one more with just
okay.
plantings on it. Anyway, we'll find it.
No, I'm going forward. Right, I have that. That,
Go back a little bit. Go back one. There's one with plantings back.
that one?
Yeah, there's one with some plantings on it, but this one has what the plantings are going to be. As you can see,
There's a landscape plan.
you got the landscape plan?
Yep.
Okay. As you can see, all these are new plantings, and they range from 3 feet. Problem? Okay. They range from 3 feet to 8 to 10 feet. There are 207 trees that they are replacing on this lot. That's just the trees alone. Then we go down to the shrubs and ground cover. They're replacing 417 trees, shrubs, and bushes. So it's going to more than cover what they took off. All of this are trees. And it's done in a proper manner with the proper species of trees that belong here. I'm not going to go through the list because it's pretty extensive, but it's like northern cedar. You have Siberian spruce, you have heritage birch, you have red maple, you have sugar maple. So it's native trees. So that's number one for that particular piece of property. Is it glaring? Absolutely. But with construction, there is a little bit of destruction. Okay? This has cleared out a lot of dead and dying trees. This will be replanted with healthy, strong trees, native trees to the area. So I just wanted to put that to rest a little bit because I know I've had numerous phone calls in the office with regard to folks who are upset about the glaring look as soon as you come into town. And like I say, remember what Murphy's was like when they did the demolition up there. It was very glaring, and we got a lot of calls on that. So that's that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor.
Let's see.
Is that it, Tom?
Okay, raise of hands. Who got your tax bill? Who was surprised with your tax bill? Nobody? What? Just you, Mark?
You bet.
Okay, good.
Property tax went up.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, that wasn't a surprise, though, right? All right. There's a lot of confusion, or some confusion, not a lot of confusion. Using an assessment of $10,000. All right. The average decrease per thousand for your Yorktown tax was $19.97. Okay. For your Yorktown garbage tax, for single family with an assessment of $10,000, there was an increase of $136.44. And those folks that live in the Mohegan Fire District, there was an increase of $131.84. The increase and decrease or decrease per thousand is $1.86 for the county and $2 for the town. As you go down, you can find your Westchester County garbage was an increase of $1.84. Your Yorktown Fire District was an increase of $5.36. Remember, this is with a $10,000 assessment, and that is per thousand. That's $5.36 per thousand. Mohegan Fire District, per thousand, per $10,000 assessment, just to use round numbers, was $13.18 per thousand on assessment. So that's where your major increases were on your tax bill. I know mine was about $260-ish of an increase, but we had a lot of calls on this that we were saying that, the taxes went down in Yorktown. Yes, they did, but they went up on other aspects. We saved the town $1.5 million over the course of 5 years for your garbage contract, but the garbage contract nearly doubled. If we went with the first garbage hauler, it would have been even more than that. All right. It would have been where it was $200 million. I'm sorry, where it was $2,050,000 to start. It would have went up to over $4 million per year. We kept it under that. It was like $3.65 million for per year. So you add that up over the course of the 5-year contract, and you're at about 1.5 that we saved the taxpayers of the town of Yorktown with that. It does not reflect every year, but your tax bill would have even been higher with your new garbage tax, your new garbage hauler, if we had gone with option 1. Legacy Field is open, folks, and as promised and ahead of schedule. They went in there, they did their due diligence, they did geological studies, borings, etc., and it's open. Now, Adam, can I give them the treat that they're going to get for this?
I can't wait.
Okay. I negotiated with Enbridge, Algonquin Gas Line Company, $1,050,000 for the 3 months that it was closed, that they will be paying us for our inconvenience, which will go into the general fund, and then we will distribute as needed. So for the 3 months that it was closed, we were able to garner a little bit of money back to the town for, like I say, our inconvenience, which is a great thing. And that, I think, is all I have. Luciana, would you like to... I'm sorry, Ed. Geez, I almost forgot you, Ed.
That's okay. I've been quiet today.
Yes, I know.
Just a couple quick things. The Lions Easter egg hunt, in conjunction with Yorktown Parks and Recreation, has been rescheduled to this Saturday, April 8th, due to the weather. Jim, do we have any spots left, or are they...
No, there is a waiting list, but we are trying to get
Okay.
off that waiting list. So if
So-
they can sign up, that'd be great.
So there's a waiting list. You could sign up going through the Yorktown Parks and Rec website. It's free for residents, and there's a $5 charge for non-residents. Once again, it's going to be April 8th at 9:30, 10:30, and 11:30. And those sessions last somewhere around 45 seconds before all the eggs get scooped up.
That long?
That long.
Oh my God.
Well, they're doing a
They're a
little
little
better
slower?
job spreading them out. Veterans Advisory meeting. Our Veterans Advisory Committee meets the third Wednesday of the month. Veterans are welcome to attend. Actually, anyone is, but we appreciate hearing from other veterans in the town. 7 p.m. in the Albert A. Cappellini Community and Cultural Center, or for those of you that have been around, the old sixth grade school. And that is in room 104, 7 p.m. This month it is on the 19th, the third Wednesday. The Sons of the American Legion, you'll notice the military tribute banners have been going up, and the Field of Honor flags will be going out shortly. Any veteran who or family of a veteran that wants to honor them could get a military tribute banner. Anyone who wants to honor any other person or take one for themselves, the honor flags, which go up in areas around the town, those are available, and you could go to sal1009ny.org for more information on those programs. The Sons also have their breakfast the third Sunday of the month, which this month is the 16th. It's a great little buffet breakfast. Come on by. I think last month we had a cozy group of about 94 people. So people are enjoying it and coming in for that. And last but not least, there is also our senior advisory meeting, which is the third Friday of the month, 1 p.m. in Town Hall. This month it's the 21st. And you usually have a speaker. Last week we had someone from New York Presbyterian Hudson Valley Hospital. Some great little speakers. You could learn a little bit. And if you have any concerns as a senior in Yorktown, please feel free to bring that to our committee. And that's it.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you.
Okay, Luch.
That's great. Okay, so prom season is coming, and LaSalle Bridal is giving 10% off to all Lakeland and Yorktown schools. That's 10% off to all Lakeland and Yorktown schools for their prom dresses. So let's promote local businesses to our local students. I have heard some rumbling about our pool fee for this year. I want to assure our constituents that it goes to hiring staff and paying them appropriately. These staff members are going to be the lifeguards and those that are volunteering their time for what they are originally being paid. So it just gives them a slight, none of it goes in our pockets, none of it goes into the town pockets. It really helps us be, at least I'd like to say, part of other towns, so that we can offer jobs to those that live in Yorktown here in Yorktown. Another thing that's really important to me is parks. So with that being said, a lot of us rely on our camps, and our camps are struggling to find directors and counselors right now. So if anyone wants to A, do a part-time job, B, misses being around children, C, has any children that need a little responsibility, please have them go to our website and go ahead and apply there. We're looking to breed and make sure that we have enough job positions, but we are not able to take in all these children unless we have the proper coverages. And I just want to stress that. I also want to give a shout out to Serafina Bravo of the engineering department. Happy birthday. And
Oh, happy birthday, Serafina.
yes, and to Tony Ann Altamati's family, thanks for dealing with my kids as I was taking town calls in the middle of Oscars. I really appreciate it. Other than that, happy holiday, happy Passover, happy Easter. And I love seeing the flowers, so let's get mulching. I'm excited to see what the garden club's going to do. And FYI, I'm taking pickleball lessons. I'm coming for you.
Oh, boy. Oh, yes, and happy early Easter, folks,
And a good Passover.
and a good Passover. Mary.
Okay, I'm not doing pickleball lessons. I can tell you that.
Oh, I might drag her.
Really no announcements, but today is the one and only day for Library Giving Day. It is a one-day fundraiser for our library. So if you can, please donate. And all these events that we speak about are on our website. Go to our website daily and you will see the events. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mary. Oh, Ed had forgotten something?
Yes, I was stuck in the third week of the month. Tomorrow, the first Wednesday of every month, the Chamber of Commerce has their networking breakfast starting at 7:45 a.m. This month they are having it at the Hill Boulevard Diner on Hill Boulevard. 7:45. It's a $20 entry fee, but you get a great opportunity to network, and it might be an interesting time to come, chat, and maybe join the chamber.
Sergio, do you want anything to say?
No, it's very difficult following week with the delay in the live feed. I miss everybody. I'll see you guys soon. And I believe, I'm not sure, but I think the Shrub Oak Athletic Club, their parade got postponed. Does anybody know the new date?
That's true. I don't have
Yes,
the
it
When's the
did
date?
get postponed. Jim Motorano's in our audience here. Jim, could you come up? Do you have a... All right, we'll try and get that back to you. Maybe get a hold of Steve.
And in the meantime, Sergio, we're cheering on for your son's baseball tournament.
Yeah, they're doing well.
Good.
It's a lot of fun.
He's in Florida.
Yeah, he's in Florida. We're not feeling sorry for him, okay? We're not feeling sorry
Good
for
luck
him.
to
at all.
Luke and Jack.
Yeah.
Truth be told, I might have gotten a sunburn today, boy.
All right. All right. You know, anybody else have anything? No, we're good. Adam, you're good? Okay. We have, we'll do that one next, Luke.
Okay.
Yesterday was Autism Awareness Day, and we should all be aware of the folks around us that may have that. So tonight we have Tom Dunn, who's going to come up and read a proclamation for Autism Awareness Day, along with his son.
Thank you, Supervisor. This is my son, Brian.
Hi, Brian.
Hi, Brian.
Thank you, council members. Let's see. I lost my last superpower, which was supervision, so that didn't come out right. So I want to thank you guys for having us here. So, whereas World Autism Awareness Day is observed on the second day of April every year, which has been officially observed by the United Nations since 2007, and whereas autism is a disorder that has characterized by challenges with social skills, repetitive behavior, speech, and nonverbal communications, and whereas in the United States more than 5.4 million adults are autistic, and 1 in every 44 children have been diagnosed with autism, and whereas people living with autism continue to face obstacles when seeking employment, health care, education, housing, and whereas World Autism Day is a day to raise public awareness to promote inclusive. I was going to mess that one up.
That's okay.
Inclusivity.
There you go.
Encourage advocacy and support the well-being of those individuals living with autism. And whereas the town of Yorktown vows to come together and raise awareness of those individuals living with autism. I do want to just say, though, I've been in town I'm somewhat new. I've only been here 27 years, but my son Brian has had nothing but great experiences through the school system, in the community. You might notice some of the autism awareness badges are on some of the police vehicles. Chief Noble, when I approached him a few years ago to do this, was all in. The PD is always supporting the community, and we're grateful for that. The families here in town are grateful for what everybody does to support each and every community that's here, including those of us with children that are on the spectrum. And we just want to thank everybody and thank the town at large for how great it is to live here.
Thank you, Tom. And I'll just read the last part now. Therefore, be it resolved that I, Thomas P. Diana, as town supervisor of Yorktown, along with the town board of Yorktown, do hereby declare April 2nd, 2023, Autism Awareness Day in the town of Yorktown. And I want to thank you for coming up. I know it's tough to do this, and I appreciate you coming up. And Brian, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. Tom and Brian, what can folks out there do to help?
I don't know. I think it's just everybody needs to realize that not everybody's the same. You hear some horrible stories of how kids
He's tired.
in neighboring districts might taunt other kids and anybody that's a little different. I think we're all a little bit different. We all just got to take a step back and recognize we all have something to offer to each other. So I just ask people talk to their kids and really have them understand that we all have struggles. Even the even the straight A student has struggles, but there are people out there that you could learn from. There are. I always tell everybody, he's the best human on the planet and gives well more to me than I give to him. So I just want people to know that if they see somebody that's a little bit different, you're probably going to learn something. Engage them, try to be yourself, of course, but you'll certainly get more out of reaching out to somebody that's on the spectrum than you could imagine.
Thomas, I have to say, like, I'm a big believer of it's brave to be uncommon. And I strive to be uncommon every single day.
Is that right? I haven't
I
noticed
do.
that.
You didn't notice? and I do. I also tell my children to strive to get curious and to be uncommon and to learn and to actually approach things with curiosity and not with judgment. Because the truth is, as much as I knew what I was going to say before, I have no clue what I'm going to say later, right? So staying in the unknown is always a way to find new answers. So I appreciate that, and I think that's what raises awareness.
Exactly.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Brian.
Bri.
Having us.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
to see you,
And
sweetheart.
as long as you're up here, tell us a little bit about your event that's coming up.
Yes, so April 28th, 29th, you've caught me without my Fam Jam gear, is
I don't have a
fa-
flyer with me.
You don't have the flyer.
Sorry.
April 28th and 29th is Fam Jam. It's a family event that's raising money for local charities. We have great bands both on Friday and Saturday, some local bands, some kids playing as well. And we have food trucks. We've got beer for those who are focused on the beer.
No, you're going to have beer?
But it's really just a great community family event. We were lucky enough last year to raise enough money to give it out to 7 or 8 local charities. We're hoping to do more than that this year. So come on down on the 28th and the 29th and enjoy your neighbors.
Amazing.
Great. Stay right there for a minute. We want to take a pic, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Tom,
absolutely.
real quick, how much of that is volunteer versus paid?
I'm sorry.
How much of your team is volunteer versus paid?
We're all volunteers.
Right.
We're all
100%
volunteers, just
volunteer.
local, families here trying to do good. This was the brainchild of Brian Duffy, who I know was here last week.
Yep.
This is birthday.
And the 29th is Brian's
29th
birthday.
is
Brian just said
Oh.
29th
Thanks,
is
Brian.
Brian Duffy's birthday. But he wanted to do something. He was raised in the town, and he always thought that the town should do something in the spring, a family event just like this. So
Well, I notice a lot of volunteers that have like been in town a long time. Yourself, the
Right.
Duffys, the Murphys.
Correct.
So it's great.
Madden's right, yeah.
The
so-
Maddens, thank
right.
you. And it's so wonderful to see that. I believe in volunteer groups as being, the way to really give back, and you guys do fantastic with
Thank you.
Fam Jam.
And the great thing about it is I know last year you put it together in about 3 days. I don't
It's getting shorter and shorter. No,
It's-
it was really everything had started after St. Patrick's Day, but yeah, so we kind of raced towards.
Yeah.
But everybody's office, the clerk's office, the supervisor's office, legal was great, highway was great, PD was great. Everybody just collectively kind of worked together to get us where we needed to go, even though we weren't quite sure how to get there. So we thank everybody for helping us and look forward to this year.
And we thank you. 100% of the
Thank you,
proceeds
Tom.
are donated to different
Correct.
charities throughout the town. And folks, if you didn't go last year, see if you can go this year because it's really a great event.
Yep.
So thank you.
Shall we go up there real quick and then?
We're going to take a picture.
Not you.
Sorry.
Tim.
There you go. Oh, thanks.
Jenna's going to yell at us to get in the center. Give me-
Okay.
You be right down in front. Okay, we center. All right. Everybody scooch.
Do I bring the phone for Sergio? Wait, Serge, you're in the picture.
We got the search in the picture. We have phones.
You're here as well.
Oh, Mary, come a little bit next to your head, yeah. Okay.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care, Brian.
Thank you, Tom. Yes, the bottom three, the bottom three.
Okay. All right. All right, thank you, Brian. And Tom, that was great. All right. We're going to go into personnel appointments. We want to appoint Frank Panabianco to the Ethics Board, and we want to appoint Peter Lanza to the Ethics Board. Frank will be serving a term which ends December 31st, 2025, and Peter will be serving a term that was vacated by Mary Capocia until December 31st, 2024. The only way we were able to get Frank to do that is not tell him when his term ended, you see. So it was good. Would you guys like to come up and introduce yourselves?
Are we swearing in?
Yes, and then we're going to swear at you. Actually, Maura's going to swear at you, and then swear you in. Well, that's yours.
Hi, Frank. You can go first.
All right.
Yeah, Frank.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much. I appreciate the introduction. And just so you know, quickly, I'm a Yorktown resident for almost 50 years. I've been here through a lot. And not only did I go to the schools in Yorktown, my children did, as well as now my grandchildren are Yorktown students as well. And I'm very honored to be appointed to this position. I want to continue with the mission statement of the ethical standards that are put forth by the board, and I hope to continue with that tradition. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Frank.
Thanks, Frank. We're happy to have you.
Peter Lanza. I've resident of Yorktown for 18 plus years, like Frank, I want to uphold the ethics of the town of Yorktown. Been happy living here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
I'm excited.
Appreciate that.
Oh, wait.
All right, we're gonna
You got to get
swear you in.
swear. Thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Frank Panabianco,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of member of the Ethics Board
the duties of members of the Ethics Board
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Please sign. You can come around.
It's a long name. Give me a minute.
You don't write white bread? No?
Gave him that.
That's okay. Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Peter Lanza,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of
member of the Ethics Board
member of the Ethics Board
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Come on, stand.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations, guys, and thank you so much for
Thank
for,
you.
for volunteering. You know, that's one thing that we can generally depend on in the town of Yorktown is we have a lot of folks that want to help. They want to be involved. They want to do things with and for our town. So thank you guys so much. You know, one thing that that we're on personnel, we have our personnel right here in the department, and we have our very own Pat Caparel, who got quite a distinctive award at the New York, I believe it's called GFOA conference up in Albany by the state comptroller. She was the president of that particular organization last year, and she has stepped down. And I'd like to have Luciana read a proclamation that was given to her by the Comptroller of the State of New York.
Congratulations, Pat.
Congratulations, Pat.
Pat.
Congratulations, Pat.
Whereas, at its annual conference, the New York Government Finance Officers Association is honoring Patricia Caparel, president and longtime member of the organization Board of Governors. And whereas Patricia Caparel serves as town controller of Yorktown in the county of Westchester, a position she has assumed in 2012 after having served 10 years as deputy town comp controller and accountant in Yorktown's town finance office, and having launched her professional career as operation manager for the Bank of New York. Oh my God, the Bank of New York.
Yeah.
And whereas Patricia Caparel earned a bachelor's degree in finance and business administration from the SUNY Empire State College and an associate's degree in business and marketing from SUNY Westchester Community College, and has been recognized for her volunteer service to the American Heart Association, American Cancer Society, the Girl Scouts, and CSEA Local 9181. Now let it be proclaimed that the State Comptroller Thomas P. DiNapoli does hereby congratulate and applaud Patricia Caparel for her outstanding service, and be it further proclaimed that on this 30th day of March, sorry I'm a couple days late, 2023, Comptroller DiNapoli does join the New York Government Finance Officers Association in thanking Patricia Caparel and wishing her happiness and success. Congratulations, Pat.
Congratulations,
Congratulations,
Pat.
Pat.
By the way, Sergio and I read it because he's on the phone.
Okay. As you see on your agenda, we have a couple reappointments that cannot be made tonight, and we're going to table them till a later date. But we want to thank them for their service and continued service at this point in time. All right, poet John McMullet, poet laureate.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is a little longer than what I usually read because March 29th was Vietnam Veterans Day, and I've been thinking back about that time, and I'll skip a part of this because it's a little long. Vietnam fracture. People often ask what started this terrible polarization in which we find ourselves. I feel it all began with the Vietnam War, which created two polar extremes in a confused middle. With the extreme patriots who believed that everything we were doing was God's will, no matter what lies the policy was built on, a policy that was flawed. We should have learned all the way back to revolution that in a two-country war, with the combat separated by oceans, the home team always wins. And they thought that all those opposed to were commie and traitors. And the extreme anti-Millerists who took out the hatred of the war on the returning vets who had no more to do with the flawed policy than Pinhead or Houdini, calling them baby killers, criminals, etc. And even worse, in my judgment, caused an end to the draft. We should not have ended it. We should have expanded it, add women, add non-military options, hospital work, the Peace Corps, Indian reservations. Keeping it would have continued we all owe our fellow Americans something. Taking it away allowed the we to become I. I was in the military and generally hated it, thinking it was boring and a waste of time. Without even realizing it, I grew because of it. From day one, the service built teamwork. The first time in Fort Dix we marched along, a bunch of ragtags chanting "Mighty A, Proud Rifles." We were all in this together. And from then on, I became part of we. The Irish Catholic of New York City worked with the Protestant from Alabama who thought the Pope was a heretic. The college English major found common ground with high school dropouts who thought that reading was a big waste of time. The local basketball gym rat and fanatic found the same teamwork as part of the artillery crew. The kid from the little white neighborhood of Inwood saw his black platoon buddy suffer bigotry and exclusion in Lawton, Oklahoma. And we all became we, the American we. There is no more we for most of us, other than the military, police, and fire services. The rest of us have all fallen back into our little tribe and gotten us into the mess that we're in now. Once the polarization grew, civility was lost. No more Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill having drinks all day, or William F. You have to disagreeing all day, or William F. Buckley and John Kenneth Galbraith, who agreed on nothing about economics, settling together. People lost the ability to separate policy from personality, to disagree without being disagreeable. If someone doesn't agree with you, he's probably either a fascist or communist or un-American or bigot or moron or soft on crime. Can we get out of this mess and return to the World War II mentality that rolled us together? I have no idea. Probably not in my or your lifetime or that of this poem.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
May I say something?
Thank you, John.
What?
May I say something about the Vietnam thing?
Yes. Yes.
John, thank you. I just want to say I've had the pleasure of being a guardian on the honor flight for a few Vietnam veterans and one Korean War veteran. But this past Wednesday, Assemblyman Slater had invited some veterans up for Vietnam Veterans Day, and I went up with two from, one from Jefferson Village, one from Mohegan Lake. And on the way down to hear that the outlook has changed so much from when they came back was very enlightening, and it really made me feel better about the fact that they're being recognized properly. So I would like to say, whenever you see a veteran, please thank them for their service. And a lot of the Vietnam veterans will wear a Vietnam veteran hat. We should be welcoming them home because they did not get that welcome home, as you pointed out. It's just something that we can't thank them enough for the horrors of war that they went through.
And they didn't make the policy.
Absolutely not. They were doing their job. They didn't make policy. They were doing their job, and I'm very, very relieved that we see it nowadays. But it shouldn't end. Please go out of your way. And I will say that the honor flight is now working with Vietnam veterans. Ed, you said you're scheduled for one now coming up on the 20th of April or May? May 20th. And if you've never had the opportunity, please go on HudsonValleyHonorFlight.com, and you could see when their schedule is to welcome the veterans home or see them off. Is just an amazing thing as well. Thank you.
You're welcome, Ed. Okay, I'd like to open up courtesy of the floor. Do we have any takers? There we go. Good evening.
Good evening. I have a lot to say.
Okay.
My name is Mara Zedens, and I reside on Halleck's Mill Road. I have lived in the same house since 1969, so that's 54 years I have been in Yorktown. I served on many different committees over the course of my life, serving in the planning board, in the master plan board, and beautification board, and the like. Couple of things. This past Sunday, I thought we could enjoy a beautiful Sunday without too much noise. The amount of noise that came from the Wyant property, of them tearing down the house and the rest of the things, was horrendous. And I live about 1/8 of a mile away. I feel very sorry for the people on Hamblin and Laurel Court. I don't know if there is any kind of rule that can be had that they can't go bring in heavy-duty equipment on Sundays. Probably it isn't because, quote-unquote, that might be a religious entity. At the same time, on Halleck's Mill Road is a new house being built on the curve, which the the planning board had approved, but it is very tenuous. You can't see around the corner, and there are new children that live in the houses up on top that get picked up by buses, and the site is going to be still obstructed, and I don't care if he takes down 10 feet of the dirt that's going to be there. Again, he was grinding away the trees all day Sunday, and that's like 3 houses down from our house. Okay, having said that, I think that right now in the Heights area, we are seeing so much development that it's unreal of the noise that takes place and the traffic that's in there. There was a traffic study for Halleck's Mill Road. Nothing ever came of it. Some of the things that were going to be done for us, and it wasn't. I'm here tonight to plead, and I sincerely say the word plead, for the residents of that small, little, narrow road with half of the driveways hidden. The people zoom up and down there. We have no police control of the traffic on that road. And I can speak for that and my neighbors as well. The trucks that are using the road now, and with the construction that's going to be going around the area, we fear for our lives because we can't turn out of our driveways without someone clobbering us almost on the rear end, as happened to me coming to the town board meeting this evening. They hit the road from 202-35 after turning left onto Halleck's Mill Road. They zoom it up past Gerard Court. We were supposed to have a third bump put in. Has never transpired. Okay? And
Ms. Seidens, your time is up.
okay,
I'll
let
get
me
you 3
finish.
minutes. Okay.
That the bottom of the hill, you want to make a right-hand turn to get into town? The buses and the trucks and the pickup trucks and the landscapers make a turn and they block the people coming down from Ridge Street. You can't make a turn. It is a disaster right now. And it continues to be a disaster. And I beg you, I plead with you to do something for our community, which was promised that it was going to be done, and it has not been done. And please ask the police department to tag every single truck that's over 2.5 tons on that road and get some money for the town. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maura.
Anybody else? Courtesy of the floor. Mr. Copsey?
Hi, Jay.
Good evening. I wasn't going to get up, but I'm going to endorse the prior speaker. At the planning board meetings, the contractor who was building on Halleck's Mill was told he had to provide traffic control on Halleck's Mill. He is not. The trucks are using Halleck's Mill as a bypass to the triangle. Having the police there isn't going to correct the problem. Doing something with the construction of the road will either make a no left turn from eastbound 202 onto no left onto Halleck's, no left onto Hamlin, force those vehicles down to the triangle. That's enforceable. You can't enforce the sign unless you're going to follow every truck that comes in from one end to the other. That's not efficient. It's not plausible. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you. Anybody else for courtesy of the floor?
Thank you, Mark Lieberman. I live on Wells Street.
Good evening, Mark.
So on Saturday, May 6th at 2 o'clock is Rally to Save the River, which is sponsored by our neighboring town, the town of Cortland. The company Holtec, which is doing the decommissioning of Indian Point, has a plan to dump 1 million gallons of radioactive water into the Hudson River, which so many for so long have tried to clean up. And so there's a big rally to save the river on Saturday, May 6th, 2 o'clock. It's at the Cortland Waterfront Park. So I just wanted to make everybody aware of that. And 2 weeks ago, hopefully you had a chance to check, I asked if our police are getting paid overtime when they monitor the utility companies such as Optimum when they're on patrol, helping them out.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else for courtesy of the floor?
Hi,
Good evening.
my name is Joe Gaffney.
Hey, Joe.
I'm an avid pickleball player.
Who's going to
And-
start? You're starting? There you go.
First lesson is
And-
Wednesday.
There you go. Last September, Lynn and Jim asked if they were opening a new program at the French Hill Middle School. And they asked if I would volunteer to run it. So I did, and last week it completed very successfully. So it was a good first year. That being said, pickleball is the fastest growing sport in the United States, and it's enormously popular in our town. If you don't believe me, just show up on Granite Knoll courts any morning during the week and Saturdays. The simple truth is that all of the players that we have, we contribute a good amount of money to the town. And all we ask is it to be fair, to have that money spent to maintain the pickleball courts. That's it. We just want the money that we give to the town to be used for the pickleball courts. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
That's fair enough.
It's a fair ask.
Follow that up.
Uh-oh, she came with a weapon.
This is my crutch. This is how everybody knows me. My name is Lynn Withers, and I am
Lynn.
your liaison to the Parks and Rec Commission for pickleball.
Hi, Lynn.
Hi, Luciana. I'm glad you're taking a lesson. I'm really here because I'm a little upset. I go to all the Park and Rec meetings, and this has been for 10 years, and thank God for them and Jim, the town supervisor. You brought this sport into this town, and we represent pickleball throughout Westchester because of it. So with that being said, I'm upset and I'm here and not at a Park and Rec meeting because I'm being told that there's no money being set aside for maintenance of the courts. Okay? This to me is an abomination. We are the largest adult sport in Yorktown. In the last 3 years, we've been around for about 3 years now with the Granite Knolls Park, which took many, many years to get the town to build because I walked around with my paddle and was there and ready, and the town did it. And we are the mecca of Westchester for pickleball. And they'll call Jim, how do we do this? They'll call Yorktown, how do we do this? They call me, how do we do this? And we're there for them. And in our own town, when the fences are falling, the courts are cracked, our town is being told we can't repair the courts. So I'm going to refresh your memory. About a year ago, I was in a meeting, like I am in every other meeting, with Luciana and the previous town supervisor. You're lucky, Tom, you weren't involved in this.
She's got a weapon.
Out of the park passes that we sold, and just last year alone, we sold 400 park passes and more. And in the last 3 years, it's been way beyond that. 50% of that would go into a fund that would maintain all the courts. Pickleball, tennis, we don't care. We're Yorktown. We're here. We volunteer. All of this is volunteer. And we just want it to be done right. I lived in this town for over 30 years. And I saw for 20 years the tennis courts were an abomination and nobody used it. Finally, we got people to come in. The Park and Rec Commission is wonderful. Jim is wonderful. They do so much for Parks and Rec in our town that I've never seen it anywhere else. And I've been to a few towns, so I know. But they voted after we were promised 50% would go towards maintenance. The Parks and Rec Commission voted to do it. And it's only fair that just like the turf on the baseball fields, because this sport has gotten so big throughout the nation, not just in Yorktown, but in Yorktown it's crazy ridiculous, that we should have money for maintenance of the courts.
Ms.
And
Withers,
these courts should
your
have been.
time is up. Sorry.
You sure?
I'm sure. I got it on here. I even gave you a little extra.
You know I have a paddle.
I'm not afraid of the paddle.
All right. So I just wanted, again, Luciana's been at rec meetings. It's only fair you put the money into our account when we raise it. Is that it? That's all I have to say. Thank you for your
Lynn.
time.
You're
I hope you
welcome.
listen. Thank you.
I'll take your paddle.
Thank you.
Another one with a weapon.
Another one.
Okay. Bob Giordano, Friends of Parks and Rec. I've been to a lot of the meetings. I've seen what we have here. We have great opportunities for people to play various sports, paddleball, handball, tennis. The courts need ongoing maintenance, and it's really what we're asking is that you find the money. I don't care where the money comes from, but they need to be maintained. You all own cars. You probably take them in for oil changes every 3,000 or 4,000 miles. You probably all have paved driveways. You probably seal them every year. These courts, whether they're tennis, handball, or pickleball, need maintenance. I'll send you some pictures that I took today, and I took pictures last year. I've been in town long enough to know that the town didn't put any money in their budget for tennis courts, and all the courts got to the point where they had to be closed because they couldn't be used anymore. Don't let that happen to any of the existing courts. Put money in Parks and Rec's budget to maintain the courts. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
This is the passing of the paddle. Susan,
I won't
no
give up.
knitting needles. You can have a paddle.
I was just going to say that if Maura doesn't give me 30 seconds extra, okay? And mine are sharper than your paddleboard. Okay. Thank you. I have a few, this is going to be a very change of subject, a few follow-up questions on two issues that have been raised before with this board. The first is one of my favorite subjects, Halleck's Mill Sewer Extension. For those of you who don't know, I've been working on this sewer issue since 2006. It's very dear to my heart, even though I'm not one of the people who's going to be affected by this. At the March 21st meeting, I asked for an update on the revised cost figures. My reason for asking is simple. There are 315 homeowners who are involved in the project, and they have to know what's happening. They need specific answers, not generalities, not feel-good things. They need realistic, honest assessments of whether they are going to get sewers or they're not going to get sewers. These people have to make plans. They have to make financial plans. They have to make lifestyle plans. So please, they need honest answers, even if it's not the answers they want to hear, but they have to hear that. When I asked for cost estimates at the March 21st meeting, the answer that everyone heard was, well, they're going to be, quote, go up a bit, or they're going up exponentially. That's not sufficient. Please don't be afraid to give them hard answers, even if they don't like the answers. You also talked about, well, because the costs are going up so much, we're going to go for grants. The town applied for one of these grants and didn't get it. So what other grants are you going to get, and why do you think your chances are better the second time than they were the first time? And how much time will you lose while you're waiting for the grant? That could be another 1 to 2 years. What's going to happen to the cost? It's still going to go up. You also talked about, again, changing low-pressure sewers to gravity sewers to save money. Good idea. I commend you for trying to bring down the cost. But I've been around long enough to know that the engineers looked at this once before, and they said it wasn't feasible. So why hold out this hope again and delay it, and you can't do a new map plan report until you have these new estimates? Again, you're putting this off and putting this off. So I'm just saying, please be honest and give the people the answers so they know what's happening, and stop with the feel-good stuff. Second issue is fluoride, another issue I've been following. It's been 10 years since we've been without fluoride in Yorktown. On February 28th, town engineer told us that the telemetry issue had been resolved and the Department of Health was going to come back to do a reinspection. There are emails to show that the appointment, a tentative appointment with the Department of Health, was scheduled for March 13th or 14th. I'd like to know if that meeting was held, and if it wasn't held, why not, and why isn't this project moving forward, and what is the checklist of what has to be done, and when can the people expect the fluoride? Again, it's been 10 years. And if I have another 30 seconds, I'd like to ask the town board for your help in working with the town attorney on my recurring issue about getting certification on a Freedom of Information Law issue. The emails are going back and forth, and as I sent another one to you today, all right, this is not requesting the subpoena. I will accept the fact that I cannot get access to a subpoena. But under the Freedom of Information Law, as I gave you the section of the law, I am entitled to a written certification that's saying the record exists or it doesn't exist. That's all I'm asking for, and I don't think that is covered by the excuses that I'm getting from the town attorney. And it's your responsibility because he works for you. So please, can I have an answer so I don't have to come up again 2 weeks from now and say, where's my letter? Okay. I think you're tired of hearing from me. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Susan.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Ed Safone, still president of the United Taxpayers of Yorktown.
Hi, Ed.
Nobody wants that job.
No.
Nobody wants it.
So are you trying to retire from
You're
it?
retiring?
And no one wants to step in?
Nobody wants it.
I did it after 30 years, you know?
I think that's going to be me at the PTA.
Yeah,
What do you think?
It's been a little tough. But that's why I'm here, as president of the United Taxpayers of Yorktown. I came here a couple of times, especially after the auditors report, where it said the town had $22.2 million in surplus money. Does anybody remember that? Okay. Then I came the next time, it might have been less, because you used some of the money. Okay? The thing is, I talked all about the trash people. Why we got a new trash company, I have no idea, when I think one person on the board didn't vote for it, the new thing, but I'm not sure. I don't read too much stuff in the paper, but the thing was, the original trash company was doing a fine job and at a fine cost. And the reason why I say that is because they're suing the town. You guys know about that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Now, why are they suing the town? Because they were the lowest bid. That's what it said in the paper. Now, I don't know if that's true or not.
It's not true, Ed.
Yeah.
Okay, but
Facts
they're
are
suing
wrong.
the town because they've been the carrier for the trash for a long time. Okay. I don't want to go on competition carting, but they tried to get on years ago. And the guy that was running it had one truck and one or two employees. So I don't know how it is now. Okay. But he had to go to Mount Vernon or Yonkers to get it. But anyway, it didn't work out. They got the old company. So I want to know why, if you could tell me, what is the fund balance now, unassigned fund balance? Because the general fund is $32 million, and at that time it was $22.2 million in surplus money unassigned to anything. Okay, so that's one question. Now, you're in court because of the trash company contract. Can you give me a little synopsis of what's happening with that, or what's their reasons why they're suing the town? You sue the town, you sue me, and the rest of the taxpayers. Okay? And the last thing I want to say is the controller said we cannot use the $22 million in surplus money to pay for the trash pickup. I said, that's ridiculous, okay? But there's a law or a rule. I didn't follow it up, okay? But that's kind of, doesn't make any sense. Or you could take the money that's going to cost everybody, at that time was $210 a year extra. You could take that from any department and lower the taxes $210 for everybody that's on here, that lives here. So I'm just giving you an option. I want to know how much the fund balance is now, if you could tell me. I don't see the controller here. Okay. Frank, I think I coached him baseball. I think he has a twin brother. I keep looking for him, but I'll find out. When I coach him, you ever coach with two guys that look exactly like each other? One was a fielder, and one was a great hitter. All the umpire kept saying, he can't get up again. He can't get up again. I'll have to find out if that's... The last name is
Mr.
the same.
Safone, I'm sorry, your time is up.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
James Mecca, Yorktown.
Hey, Jim.
I'm here to thank you, the town council, for the support you gave last Tuesday night in support of the Vietnam Appreciation Day. The proclamation you gave to the VFW, American Legion, DAV, and my Yonkers Combat Group was greatly appreciated. I was at my combat group meeting in Yonkers today, and I told them what the Yorktown Town Council had did with the proclamation, and they insisted I come up and say thank you, so you have a fan club in Yorktown, in Yonkers. I also want to thank Terrence Murphy for the great speech he gave. Terrence Murphy was the first person to start getting the Vietnam Appreciation Day done. So, Terrence, if you're watching, I want to thank you. I want to thank my brother Vinny for supplying the van that took us Vietnam veterans up to Albany. They're a great help to all the veterans. They're a great organization, and it's a great organization to donate to. And a special thank to Ed, who drove a few of our fellow Vietnam vets up to Albany. And I want to say we all appreciated that. It's not going around the corner. It's a 2-hour ride. I appreciated seeing you there, and I also appreciated seeing Matt there. We had a great day. It was greatly appreciated, and I just want to thank the town council and thank you for your support for veterans.
Thank you, James.
Thank you for your service, Jim.
Dan Strauss, 56-year resident. The Wyant property, right over there. From what I understand, maybe 4 acres. The units have been cut down from, I believe, 70 was the first time it was proposed, down to, I believe, 25. If I'm incorrect, let me know.
Yeah, it's 32.
32. Thank you. Very
32,
good.
36 to
32.
23.
Okay, great.
Good cut.
I was good. Okay, because I wasn't going to talk about it.
2 acres also. Not
Huh?
far. 2 acres.
2
not far.
acres. Okay. Cut down from 70 to 32. There's no commercial on the...
36 to 23.
23.
That was never in the 70s.
It was in the 70s.
36 to 23.
Whoever is saying that from that I cannot see, it was more than 36 units when I first heard the
Robin.
first thing that I heard.
Okay.
We're looking-
So it's been cut down. There is no commercial on that property. There is no inn. There is no restaurant. There are no amenities. That is a good project. That is a good project. The Soundview is not a good project because it jams everything into 13 acres, and it wipes out 10 and a half of those acres. Okay, now I'm going to move on. The senior center over at Beaver Ridge. The only reason why that is being proposed is to validate 25 parking spaces at the Soundview property. If they don't have 25 parking spaces, then they won't have a senior center. The senior center is not for the town, it's for Beaver Ridge, but you give the impression that it is for the town. That's my opinion. those 25 spots are not 25 because if the Parks and Rec Commission is in there, they use between 6 and 7 spots. And if anyone wanted to go visit Parks and Rec, they would take 3 or 4 more spots. So that leaves, am I correct, about 12. I'm just, because I never look over at you. Maybe 12 or 13 or 14 spots. Not all the time, but that is not where it should be. A senior center should be at Sparkle Lake. I spend a lot of time at Sparkle Lake. It is a gem, to your words, Mr. Diana. That is a gem of Yorktown. You have the money or could get the money where we have not had a great senior center for the last 300 years, 1788, 250 years. You've been talking about it for the last 10 years. A great senior center. On Beaver Ridge, that is not a great senior center. That is simply a senior center for Beaver Ridge, because then when they take the rooms that they have right now for recreation, they will then put apartments in there, extra apartments. That's what I've heard. So do you think there are people who are going to go over to Beaver Ridge from Yorktown? Do you think? And what are the prices of these condos? $500,000? And Soundview, they're going to be $1 million. $1 million condos, and they're going to go over to Beaver Ridge. Nobody's going to go to Beaver Ridge. It's on the other side of 118. But Sparkle Lake is beautiful. It is a gem. There's plenty of parking. There is plenty of foundation for a senior center. That's where it should be.
Mr.
And
Strauss.
that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else for courtesy of the floor? Motion to close courtesy of the floor?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any opposed?
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. So moved.
Okay.
Motion passes. Okay. A lot of information here. Okay. Anybody have anything that they want to bring forward to any of the speakers?
You want to go through yours and then I'll, if there's anything.
Nope. You know what? Many of the things we're going to have, a few of the things we're going to have to get back on, such as the house being built and so on and so forth. That's just follow up. That'd be enforcement. I mean, bottom line, that's enforcement on that particular road. That's what it's always been. That's what it always will be, as far as I'm concerned, in my opinion.
Well, we did hire the extra traffic officer, which
Should help, but uncommitted time. Officers can run through there, but they're not going to get every truck that goes through. They're not going to get every speeder that goes through. They're going to try. And as far as the noise, I'm not 100% certain on the noise ordinance, but that's something that has to be looked into.
7 a.m. on weekdays, 8 a.m. on
8 a.m. on weekends, right? Yeah, that's what
And we can put restrictions in place for when a developer comes in, we can ask them to limit the weekend work if we want in their approvals.
Right. The Halleck's Mill Sewer District, Susan, is moving forward. Where it's moving at this point, it's all cost-driven. You know it as well as I do.
What about the cost? Tell people the cost. I'm asking for.
The cost, I believe, was brought up last week. I think, when did we have Dan up? Wasn't it last week or the week before?
might have been last week. But the point of the matter is, we don't want to make up numbers. We have to give our engineer the time to get the numbers, and to say we don't want to give the numbers is a misstatement.
Yeah.
We don't have the numbers to physically give, so we don't want to make it up. Dan's doing his due diligence, and that's what the important thing is. I think everyone in this room would rather we have a hard, real number than pluck something out of the air and say this is what the number is going to be. So
now, when they first came in, it was $9 million. It could be $25 million by this time. So if it's $25 million, we don't know. But we're trying to limit it so that we can get the best bang for our residents' buck. With regard to the garbage contract for Ed Safone, their contract was up. It went out to rebid. The lowest bidder got the contract. That's how it worked. Yep. Let's see, anything else here? Pickleball. We're going to have to look into it with Pat. Did they go? Are they still here?
left,
We're going to have to look into it with Pat. And
we've been talking about it since February.
yeah.
So.
There's also, I've been working with Jim Mortorano, and there is a crack in the new pickleball, I should say the pickleball courts up in Granite Knolls that we've had Oval Tennis go up and take a look at. And to repair that particular crack alone is almost $7,000. So we are looking at that, and it's not it's not a permanent fix. It may come back in a couple of years. So we're going to have to take a deeper dive into that to see exactly what we have to do. In as far as the senior center goes, Dan, that was proposed to be built for the seniors in the town. The parking spots, though, would have to be given by the Soundview property to allow that senior center to be built. Otherwise, there couldn't be a senior center built, basically. And there was going to be about 30. And then Parks and Rec was going to be on one side. And I think it went from a 2-floor to a single floor. Parks and Rec was going to be on one side. Senior Center was going to be on the other. That's the latest rendition. So moving forward, we'll have to see what happens with Soundview. Thank you for your comments on the Wyant. And the traffic control on Halleck's Mill, Jay, 100%. 100% right. That's what it's going to take. The new house there, we're going to have to get with probably the building department to go over there, take a look, and see what they can do with those particular folks with regard to the problems that we have on that street. Okay, anybody else?
I'd just like to say the senior center did not come around from the Soundview project.
No.
The senior center has been on the map longer than I've been on the board, which is going on 8 years now. And the seniors themselves are the ones pushing it, as I'm the liaison to the senior advisory committee. So they are looking for something updated. They are looking for something modernized, a little nicer than the Capolini Center area. And this was a solution that works where the town could have a building built for us and not have the expenditure, which for funds that we do not have. So, yeah, that's.
And they would maintain it,
yes,
if I'm not mistaken.
They maintain as well, correct.
And so forth. So, that's the long and short of that. And as my predecessor had alluded that it was done through tax abatements for Beaver Ridge. So that's how that worked. Okay, anybody got anything else? Mary? Lou?
No.
No? We're all good? Okay.
Fluoride? Update on fluoride? Fluoride, what's happening?
We're waiting.
Did they have the Department of Health meeting?
Unknown. Don't know.
We'll look into that.
There has been testing with fluoride. They did the water test over there. There's been some issues. They had to do some water mitigation from running off the roof and coming down the back hill. This was coming right into the building, which we think we have solved. So the health department wouldn't sign off on certain things, nor could they get delivery of fluoride in there until such time as we had taken care of those things. Other than that, I'm not sure. I might be able to give you a better update a little later. Somebody could go down and get Dan. I'd appreciate it, because I know that he knows what's going on with that intimately.
That's it.
Huh? You can take a hint? Okay. All right. That's that. Okay. Convene I'd like to open up a public scoping session for the 800 East Main Street, Yorktown Development, AMS LLC. And I see we have a gentleman present who's going to give us a little presentation on that. This is just a tonight's hearing is for the public to comment on the outline. This outline was posted on the town's website on March 24th. So, from AMS, we have...
Good evening, Mr. Supervisor, members of the board. Mark Weingarten, attorney for AMS Acquisitions, LLC, in connection with its proposal to redevelop the 35.5-acre site located at 800 East Main Street, Yorktown, formerly known as the Contractors Register site. I'm joined tonight by Ryan Sutherland, our Director of Design at AMS, and I apologize because of the week here. We don't have our architect because of the holiday week. We don't have our planner, so I'm going to try to pretend to be those things tonight. So we'll do the best we can and we'll struggle through. So we do have a short presentation. I'm going to get to it in a moment. I will just give you a brief background for everyone to understand why we're here. I think, as you know, the plan itself is for us to demolish the existing office buildings that are on the site. There are approximately 63,000 square feet of buildings that are there. We'd like to build 250 luxury multifamily apartments and for-sale townhomes, all restricted to owners 55 years of age and older, to create a beautiful new neighborhood with plenty of open space and luxury amenities secluded, and I'll be showing it to you in a moment. Currently, the site is zoned OB Research Lab and Office District. The vacant site, just like numerous vacant or partially occupied office parks in our region, is in need of repurposing in the face of a very weak office market. This type of repurposing is happening throughout our county, and I have been personally involved in the necessary repurposing of millions of square feet of underutilized commercial space in the last 10 years. Some may consider this unfortunate, but it is a fact of the times. Moreover, as we have all been reading in the newspapers recently, our state and our region are currently suffering from a critical housing shortage. We believe this is an excellent location for sorely needed housing to fill the need, particularly in the fast-growing 55 and older market. In order to accomplish this, we seek to rezone the site to RSP2 Senior Citizens District and to change the language of the RSP2 to increase the FAR from 0.35 to 0.55 and to change the maximum height from 45 feet to 55 feet on sites greater than 25 acres. In order to accomplish this, we have filed a petition with you to make the amendments to the zoning code and the map, as mentioned. And on March 7, your board declared itself lead agency for the environmental review process under SEQR and issued a positive declaration of environmental significance. That is the highest level of environmental review under state law. The next step in the process is what's referred to as a scoping session. The scope is essentially the table of contents that lists all of the topics and reports that we are required to study in order to create the draft environmental impact statement, that big book that you see that comes in and looks like this when we're finally finished. While it's not required by law, the town board, which has to create this scope, decided to have a public scoping session tonight in order to obtain public comments at the earliest stage possible in the process. The scope, when it's finally adopted, will outline all of the potential impacts that we will study, things like traffic, visual impact, and effect on the schools, et cetera, that I'll get into in a moment. But first, I'll just take you quickly through the plan so you can take a look at what it looks like. And again, I apologize that our architect's not here. He has shown it to you at some past meetings. So there is the location of the site over at Jefferson Valley. You see the highway, Route 6 that's there next to Trump State Park. And the proposed site, as I mentioned, is a vacant office building on 35 acres. You can go to the next site. You see the Taconic is on the bottom. That's the site plan that lays out the buildings. The rental buildings are to the right of the site, and the for-sale townhomes are to the left. We've preserved in our concept plan 6.25 acres of open space to the left there, naturally wooded. We have concentrated much of the development on already developed property there at the office site. We had a site visit with the town board members recently who walked the site with us to take a look at what this would, what it currently looks like and where these buildings would be located. Take a look at the next one. This is a rendering that gives you a look. In the background are the rental homes. This is from really the open space that we were showing you looking back at the site, a nice water feature, and of course the townhomes will be in the foreground and the rental in the background. You can keep going. That's just another look of the full site. Again, this is, again, from the site where the lower level townhomes are in the front here. In this end, we have tennis and pickleball courts that we will maintain over on the left-hand side.
It's a
If
good thing you
anyone has a
mention that,
racket
because
there
they're
in the
back here
audience,
with
we'll
the rackets.
We'll talk about how that'll work. And, of course, a pool and other amenities, a clubhouse and things that'll go with it. So this is what it looks like, we'll go to the next slide. So this is the EIS process. I don't think we have to go through that. I mentioned that tonight. We're at the scoping part of this session, which is, again, early on. After that, there'll be the DEIS. After that, there'll be public hearings. We'll go through it. We can go to the next. So the DEIS scope, which was circulated through the town website, mentions as I mentioned, the table of contents to what we have to study, and then all of the various studies that are going to be required of us. The categories that we'll be studying are things like land use, zoning, public policy, visual community character, geology, soils, topography, et cetera. You can read water, wastewater, stormwater management, traffic, noise, air quality, everything that you can imagine and think of, construction, parking, all of these studies. We will have to study them. So we won't have answers for you tonight. The point about tonight is to figure out what we have to study if we've left anything out of our outline, and that's really the purpose. So I'll finish that up, but I just want to, again, for those who aren't, I understand there haven't been a lot of EISs here in Yorktown in recent years. I know there were in some of the past, but the part of the process where you have the debate, you talk about whether it's a good idea or a bad idea, et cetera, that's to come. First, we have to gather all these studies, and it's going to be many months. We will have professionals for us. You have professionals that you use. In fact, I should mention this scope that we prepared a draft of was reviewed by all of your professionals. We've gotten their comments. Those have been incorporated into it, so they've already looked at it. So tonight, the idea is to get any more information from the public so you can now, when you're ready, adopt a scope, and that scope then becomes our document that we then use to go off, create the draft environmental impact statement, and when we finally have that finished, that's when we'll have the public hearings and have a discussion about the specifics of the project. So, and again, just to mention, this is a concept plan that we are studying. This is the maximum of what we can build. Of course, there's going to be lots of discussion during the environmental study as to what's going to happen, and eventually, if we're fortunate enough to get through that, there'll be discussions over the site plan and the specific site planning issues of how the site would work out. So that's our presentation for this evening, and you'll let me know how you'd like to handle it, except the public or yourself, however you'd like to do it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Weingarten. Okay, do we have any comment from the public with regard to this?
That's up on the website too, everything.
Yes.
I do have copies if anyone.
Thank you, Robin.
Thanks, Robin.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Yes. Thank you, Paul Moskowitz. I'm a member of the Yorktown Climate Smart Community Task Force, which, as you know, has recently got New York State recognition as a climate smart community for the town of Yorktown. So my thinking is influenced by energy considerations. And I have seen no study listed as to what to do as the country and the world, in fact, goes from primarily fossil fuels to clean energy. And it is coming. There was a recent New York Times article which said that there are about 5% of vehicles are electric vehicles, EVs. But within this decade, it'll be 50%. The number is, in this area especially, is exploding. So my first comment is that, oh, by the way, and the CSC has looked at charging stations. And we have a few projects underway, like at the library. This is part of what the CSC was doing. We voted a recommendation to the town board that for multifamily developments, half of the parking spaces be equipped with charging stations. It's a lot easier to do it when you're building the thing in the first place
than if you have to retrofit and start digging up concrete. Otherwise, you might have people hanging extension cords out their windows to charge their vehicles. Although that's not going to happen. They're going to go someplace where there are charging stations already established. There are a few other things that I would like the group to consider. That is the group that's doing this proposal, Mr. Weingarten. Look at insulation for houses. Are we going to continue to build cardboard houses and just turn up the oil burner when it gets cold outside? This is a strategy which is no longer appropriate for the 21st century. Maybe it worked in the 1950s when oil was 5 cents a gallon. But as we know, it's closer, sometimes it goes up to $5 a gallon. So anyway, I think that I suggest that the planners look at the building according to LEED standards for insulation. For heating and cooling, instead of just using the usual air conditioners or oil heating, look at the idea of using heat pumps, geothermal heat pumps. These two are easier to put in when you're building the buildings in the first place. These can be used for heating and cooling. There are many people in Yorktown who are already installing these. So that's good. And the last thing is, if you're going to run everything on electricity, it would be nice to get that electricity from for free. Well, we do. The sun gives us a kilowatt per square meter of surface area. We could, using standard solar collectors, we could catch 15 to 20% of that. So I would appreciate it if a study is included on the feasibility of having solar collectors either on the roofs or other places in this development to provide the electricity for all the heat pumps and the charging stations. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
That's a very good point with the solar. It's high in a hill, and if we're going to build things for seniors, it would be important to keep the cost down of the ongoing cost for the seniors. It looks like, as far as I'm concerned, it's a good start and discussion. We have abandoned office buildings up there, and that's a very nice area. And I'm for going ahead and take with the study anyhow.
Thanks, John.
Oh, sure.
Poor Dan comes running up here. You okay?
Sorry, we have to fight for time.
Okay.
I don't need the needle or the
The racket and the paddle.
Thank you for the opportunity to comment on the content of the DEIS, and I want to thank the town board for adopting a positive declaration. I'm not going to go into all the technicalities. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
And I hope that this will set a precedent that in the future, when you have major rezonings or major site plans, or even for the planning board to have major site plans or subdivisions,
You're going into it.
that they will do a positive declaration and not a half-assed neg deck, okay? That I just had to get that done because that's been an issue with other things that are going on now. I have several comments regarding additions to the scoping document, comments that reflect Yorktown's needs as opposed to the developer's needs. Most revolve around Yorktown's need for diverse housing opportunities, opportunities for all age groups, especially for our children who grew up here and who want to continue living here, okay, now that they're on their own. They could be young singles, they could be young married couples with or without children, and I don't think we have to be afraid of children because of adding children to the school district. We've lived with that issue for too long, okay? We need these young people in our community, and we also need people with different incomes. I have nothing against seniors, right? I'm a senior and I live in Jefferson Village when I downsized. But seniors who want to downsize can find housing in multifamily housing. Not all seniors want to live isolated by themselves, okay, just with other seniors. And non-age restricted multifamily developments can also have the same amenities, swimming pools, pickleball courts, and so forth. Yorktown is losing an age group that's vital for the continued health and vitality of our community. If you look at the statistics, we are losing our 30 to 44-year-old age group. That's a key demographic. That group has declined 36% since the year 2000. These aren't my numbers. These are official census numbers. That's the age group that provides so many volunteers for our community groups, volunteer ambulance corps, our firemen, our scout leaders, the coaches for our teams, okay, and so many other organizations. For those reasons, I have a list of some very specific additions to the scoping session, and Maura has a copy for the record. Chapter 2, which is Land Use, Zoning, and Public Policy, specifically Section D, Public Policy Zoning. How does the project address these provisions of the comprehensive plan? Goal 5D, continue to support affordable workforce housing as defined by the Community Housing Board and workforce housing for people in all stages of life, from young adults and couples to families with children to seniors. Okay? That has to be addressed. Also, Policy 5-4, require that a limited portion of the units in new residential developments be set aside for affordable workforce housing. Second one, how does the project address the Westchester 2025 and other Westchester County policies in support of affordable housing? None of these issues have been mentioned in the draft scoping document. Chapter 7, socioeconomic and fiscal impacts. 1. How does the project address Yorktown's demographic changes from the year 2000 to 2019, which were the latest census numbers, by age group with specific emphasis on ages 20 to 64? 2. Address the spending patterns of different age groups and how this relates to support for existing businesses and encouraging new businesses to locate in Yorktown. I think it's been said by this board that we need more people, because if we have more people, that's going to mean more businesses will want to locate here. Fine. If you think about who spends, it's the young people. It's the 30s to the 50s who are the spending people. That's why all the advertising is geared to those people. They're the ones who spend. We seniors don't spend as much money as there are younger people around. Some of you, I'm looking at you, Luciana. The others are a little bit maybe older, okay? Address the projected rental rates and purchase prices and how they relate to the incomes of Yorktown seniors. If they're luxury, that's not going to cut it for the Yorktown seniors. Chapter 8, community facilities. Address the use of police, volunteer ambulance, and emergency medical services of the existing senior developments in Yorktown as compared to the non-seniors, such as the number of assistance calls. Living in Jefferson Valley, I hear those ambulances come very, very often, all right? And I've heard that comment from somebody on the Mohegan, fire department, okay? This is the most important thing, Chapter 17, alternatives. And this is one of the key issues in a DEIS, and that's alternatives. Include an additional alternative, a site plan based on rezoning for R3, straight multifamily housing, with the current FAR and the current height restrictions for the R3 zone, and then including all the associated impacts that would be addressed for the above project. That is the one alternative that is missing, and I feel strongly that if this was zoned for R3 multifamily, again, at the current density requirements, not the increase that they're proposing even for their seniors, we would have something that could address seniors and could also address the demographics that we are missing that cannot afford to live in Yorktown. And everyone on this board has spoken about that recently. So we know we need that. We don't need 250 more units of seniors, and seniors can go anyplace else. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dan Strauss. Okay, so I've been told just before that I have to be calmer when I talk. Okay, so I have more than 3 minutes now.
You're allowed.
You see,
Yeah.
that's
Stretch.
why I get in a frenzy, because I know that I never even get a second or two over. It's like, but today I did. Today I did.
noise.
Yeah,
We didn't get it
I
today.
understand. So I'm going to be a lot calmer.
Okay.
Okay, so I think this project, is that the word? Okay? Yeah. I think it's very good. I think it, from the standpoint of the amount of units, I know that I'm probably amazing some people now that I'm going to say it's pretty good right off the bat. The amount of units, the location, everything flows for me. But now I'm going to, again, break with Ms. Siegel. See, we agree on a lot of things, but I don't agree on one thing, and I don't agree with the board. There's only two kinds of housing, as far as I'm concerned, in pricing. There's market rate or affordable. Can anyone tell me of another kind of housing? Can you tell me, you're always talking about that you want to cater to the young singles, the young marrieds, the 30s, the 40s, because they spend more money. Believe me, in Somers, there's people who've moved into $1.5 million condos. Do you think those people don't have money? If people moved into this senior complex and they were spending, I don't know what them, because it seems always that the developers are reluctant to tell the public what they're going to be charging. It's always like you never hear exactly what the rate is. And I'm not being critical. I'm just saying it's the way it seems to be. But if a condo is there, $700,000 or $800,000, do you think those people don't have any money?
Dan, there's senior active communities that start at 50.
I understand.
It's
no,
also, that's
I
a good question too,
understand.
right? It's like,
but I'm
what's
just
the
saying
age?
senior. It's 55. Isn't that correct?
And I'm 42, so can we not like?
No, but I'm just saying. I'm trying to
Save me a unit.
delineate here what we're talking about all the time. It's either market rate or it's affordable housing.
There's luxury as well.
There's what?
There's luxury housing as well.
I'm not talking luxury. I'm talking lower end. Everyone seems to be saying we have to be able to afford to live here. But if you can't, you've got to move.
Yeah.
That's the point. That's why there are no 30s around. A lot of 30-year-olds can't. They go to Atlanta. Mm-hmm. I can't understand why this keeps going on and on, this discussion about affordability. Yorktown is affordable for some people. It is not affordable for some people. Somers is affordable. I'm using Somers because it's a similar town to us, I believe.
For some people.
When 30-year-olds or 40-year-olds, 42-year-olds, I have no clue what your income is, but you seem to be able to afford to live in Yorktown. But there are some people who are 42 and they don't make enough money to live in Yorktown. So why is the discussion always that we have to make it affordable? People may come from Chappaqua to this development. It doesn't mean it's only going to be for Yorktown. If a Yorktown senior can afford the market rate, it's market rate. It's not affordable housing. I'm going to be very frank with you. I get the feeling that you would love to put 1,000, I used that 1,000 again because I got hell last week. Last time I used 1,000 because then I was spreading misinformation. I'm not saying that they're going to be 1,000. There will be 1,000 units. This is 250. Mr. Grace came up here last week and he said 250 more. That's 500. right in Jefferson Valley. And what about the people in Jefferson Village who were complaining they couldn't get to the post office? What's going to happen then?
He's not wrong.
What's going to happen then? That was a big complaint. Okay, so being very serious, there's market rate. It doesn't mean that people are only going to be coming from Yorktown. They could come from Timbuktu. The developer doesn't mind. He doesn't mind where they come. How much are the condos? He's behind me. There'll be I'm sure there's going to be some that are going to be close to $1 million. If I hear no, then he could say no.
Depends on how many.
So how
rooms
many
there are.
people in Yorktown can afford $1 million condo? Tell me, how many people? Come on, town board.
I don't know
Not
people's
many.
incomes. I can't answer
Not
that.
many.
I don't know people's
But
incomes.
people are going to come in, and then there's a development going up over in, and I know I'm probably talking too much, and I'm going to, but there's a development going up over in the other part of town. The other part of town, the Toll Brothers. What are they going to be? $1 million? $500,000? $750,000? It's market rate or it's affordable housing. And I'm just saying simply again, this is what you're faced with. I believe this development is a good development. It looks good to me. As far as the green and all that type of, I'm not getting involved with that stuff because there are other people who know more about that. There are people who know more about it. But this looks like a good development to me.
No, I appreciate you putting it right back onto what the project is and what the project's offering, and not so much on the pricing and us making it amendable for other people. You show up, you agree to your salary, and it is what it is.
It's not. I
And
made a
then-
comment a couple weeks ago, and that's the last thing I'll say. Workforce.
So, but the way that
Okay, workforce. If people are struggling in Yorktown to make ends meet, how are you going to offer? Do you think it's right to offer? I mean, I don't personally. Workforce. If the average income is $300,000, then workforce makes sense to me. But not when people are working 3-4 jobs. That's just my opinion. It's my opinion. But this issue of the affordability, I just can't comprehend why people think you've got to make it affordable. It's affordable if you can afford $750,000 or $1 million, and that's all.
And also, it's on the developer. The developer will put the purchase price, and if he gets bites, he gets bites, and if he has to lower it because the demographic isn't coming,
I agree.
then it'll be on him
100%.
and the broker.
I think it's a good
supply and
development.
demand,
The
right.
way it's set,
Something
the way
we
this
can't
is set
control.
up, it's in a not used zone. It's been
I just want
dormant.
to point out, though, 55.
55. I understand.
I wanna- like, I'm
you're,
thinking, I
you're
wanna
a
go.
youngster. I get that. I get that. Come on.
At 55.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
I could come back up if I.
Yes, you can.
I personally like the development too.
Thank you, Mom.
Yeah, it's
And
beautiful.
I like the open space that's left there, and I love the idea, no retail in the development, which I think Soundview is making a big mistake, because if you look around the town, all of the little stores are empty. Who's going to drive, like on Keir Street, 6 apartments on top, retail on the bottom, and then you have Giuseppe's and every other little place that's in there. But everyone's talking about affordability. The other thing that deals with affordability are jobs, are the businesses, are the industries that are not around anymore. IBM, practically non-existent anymore in the whole area. And I have one son who lives in Vermont, and I have one son who lives in Massachusetts. They went where the jobs were. They didn't stay in Yorktown because they didn't want to stay in Yorktown. That what they were interested and what they studied for and they paid off their student loans for is where the jobs were, and they love where they're living. Could they afford the houses that they bought? I don't know that, but they bought nice houses. They raised nice families. I raised, and my husband, two nice young men that are contributing to the communities where they live. So this idea of affordability, I agree, is just market rate. Everybody is going to be in a market rate situation. On Keir Street, are those apartments market rate? Who knows? Nobody telling us that they're sitting on top, back of a grocery store. Is that a nice place to live? Maybe yes, maybe no, if you can afford that rent to be in there. So I agree with that. What I also would like to say, all of this idea about green environment coming up and fossil fuels eliminating, where does the electricity come from to charge those cars?
Solar panels.
It does not come from solar panels, okay?
Batteries.
No, it doesn't. And so, okay, you can build all of those, but fossil fuels will be around for a while. It'll be through my lifetime and probably another 50 years, even though OPEC just raised oil prices and we're going to be paying more for gas. I can't afford any more gas. And do I go and ask someone to pay for my gas to drive my car? No, I just drive less. You know, there's choices that we make in life. And that's all I wanted to say, that the industry is not here. And the home office is what people are involved in these days, the young millennials, even though Manhattan wants them back in the office. They're compromising 2 days a week, 3 days a week. And what was it, the governor, Hochul, right?
Hochul.
Hochul. She wants 800,000 units of multifamily housing through the area. I think we have more than enough. And the other area that is not looked at in Yorktown, if it goes back to with this development or any other development, I try to find out the answer and I can't get it. How many accessory apartments are there in Yorktown that people find an affordable way to live? Okay? So there's all ways to look at different things. And I love the idea of all the tennis and the pickle courts.
You're in the pickleball courts, are you?
Yeah.
You'll be
That's
playing
in
shortly.
there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wednesday. Thank you.
Mr. Kopstein.
Good evening, Jay Kopstein. I think it's a great presentation. Like the program. I'm going to repeat what Dan Strauss said. Market rate. What will be charged is what people can afford to pay. If they can't afford it and people don't move in, they'll figure out a way to lower the price so that people will move in. What we're doing today is we're equating something called affordable housing with social engineering. Social engineering is not what we should be looking at. The one suggestion that I would make is make sure that complex has got the highest speed internet that's available, built in to the development, so it doesn't have to be added afterwards. Do conduits so that improvements can be made without tearing up streets, changing poles. People are working from home. They need internet access. Make it fast internet access. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you.
Good evening, Sarah Wilson, 32-year resident of Yorktown Heights. My understanding of the purpose of the scoping hearing tonight is for us, members of the public, to provide input for anything based on the contents that were provided, any areas that we think need any additional attention.
Correct.
And so, as Paul Moskowitz indicated, our planet is warming, and we do need to be looking forward to make sure that we're mitigating the impacts of warming and reducing our emissions. I know there are 2 chapters in the outline here, one that talks about Chapter 11, use and generation of electricity, and Chapter 20, sustainability, but they're really, really kind of light in terms of details. So I'd like to ask that the project's environmental scope includes a comprehensive study on greenhouse gas emissions resulting from the planned residential community. That would include the greenhouse gas emissions resulting from the construction activities itself of the 26 buildings on site, the impact of the construction materials and transporting them to the work site. The study should also evaluate whether the plan incorporates green construction approaches and energy-saving features. There's one line item in the outline that touches on that, building design, but again, a more robust exploration of the construction approach and how conservation will be built into the design. Once the development is constructed, the study should report on the potential and likely carbon emissions from the heating, cooling, and lighting of the property. Rooftop solar panels seem to be a no-brainer. We're going to be on top of the hill. But what about geothermal as a clean source of heating and cooling with heat pump technology? If you're starting, raising everything and new construction, certainly looking into geothermal should be evaluated in the study. Considering the fuel for personal and commercial vehicles entering and leaving the site with 250 units, access to public transportation is important to minimize the environmental impact of all those automobile trips. 250 families heading down to DeChico's or JB Bagels or the mall is going to create traffic congestion as well as an environmental impact and air quality. The inclusion of EV charging infrastructure capability is important as well to be prepared for the transition to EVs here in New York. While this is an already developed and cleared office park, the proposed development will remove additional trees and encroach further on habitat. The emissions impact due to the removal of those additional trees from the site, of course, needs to be calculated, as well as the analysis on the impact of biodiversity. And, of course, the impact on groundwater and surface water being impacted by the use of fertilizer and pesticides. So those were the comments as I reviewed the existing plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
I'm Mark Lieberman. This is not my area of specialty. My only concern from looking at the drawings is you have 250 people moving in and there's only one road going into the place. And that seems to be a concern to me that there should be another entrance and exit.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you. Okay.
Brian.
Hello, Brian.
Hi,
Good
Brian.
evening,
Hi,
guys.
Brian.
How are you? Brian D. I live in Sherbrooke. So this is right around the corner from my house, so I kind of got an interest in it. I like the idea. It might be a little too big for the neighborhood because that little road going in and out's tough, like the other gentleman just said. That's a tight spot. All right. One thing I do have a question on. This evening, I got the packet. I'll read it. I'll come back over it, and I'll see what else I come up with. But the first page, it says right in here, residents age 55 and over, which is fine if that's what you want to do. This evening, when the gentleman made his representation, he said owners 55 and older, not residents. That's a difference. We're going to have kids in there, now going to have impact on schools. He said he was going to look into impact on schools. But if everybody in there is 55 and older, there should be a zero impact on the school district at all. We shouldn't have to worry about it. But the way he represented it this evening, that word got changed or left out or switched. I don't know. But they got to watch what is said at every single meeting. And because something goes by and everybody lets it go, and all of a sudden it's different. If this is 55 and older and truly 55 and older, that's the way it has to be written and represented every time somebody comes up to the table. Now, I like the idea. I think solar up there is probably one of the best benefits for the development. Probably help keep the residents' costs down.
But Brian, I just want to make sure I understand. So because it's 55 and over, There could be an impact on the schools.
How? If every resident has to be 55 and older, what's the impact? Who goes there?
No, if every resident
It
has
says
to be
residents 55 and older.
Oh, you're saying like because
nobody
my
can live there
children
who's
is a
12.
resident
Right.
Is not a okay. I see
Okay.
what you're saying. So it's not who buys it.
Correct.
That's what I
it's
had
who
heard.
lives in it.
Okay, because I was going to say I'm 55.
Because if you go to
Everybody still
Jefferson
have
Village,
kids at school.
I had a friend whose mom was in Jefferson Village. She was ill. She was 45. Went to help her out. She couldn't stay for more than 29 days.
Because
they
she
have an
wasn't
age
older.
restriction. Right. Same situation here. If you're going to put an age restriction on it, you put an age restriction on it at 55 and above. Now there's no children. Now there's no
I
impact
just want
on
to make
the
it very
schools.
clear. So that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because of the way it's written in the proposal, it's age restricted, 55 and older for a resident.
Residents.
That means
Anybody who lives there
lives there and sleeps there
has to be over 55. They can come for a couple weeks, spend a vacation,
Those are
whatever.
visitors.
Right, exactly.
Got
but there's
it.
a time limit on how long they can stay. They can't be there for 3 years. Okay, that is then how you impact the schools and change.
Absolutely. That's why I was
'Cause
trying to.
this is what they're asking for. It's not like where Taco Bell is in Mohegan now. They originally asked for it to be office space, and they come back 10 years later, and they're like, oh, I can't put an office space there. It's not working, so now I need to change the zone. You're looking to change the zone here. Let's make sure we do it the right way so it doesn't hurt the rest of the area. Let's get it out and get it straight. And then written in stone, can't change it. Sorry, this is the way it is. You went for it. You own it. Not like coming back 10 years later and saying, oh, I want to put a fast food restaurant.
Or
in
want to
the-
have a baby. You're like, oh, she can't live here.
You can't live there. You move out. Sell your $1 million
How much for
condo
your house?
and go somewhere else where you can afford to live. Now,
Right.
as far as people who can afford to live in our area, yeah, you got to work your ass off to live in our neighborhood. No question about it. Okay? I do. My children do. My daughter just bought a house. My son has a house. They both live right 2 blocks from me. My son's a career fireman. My daughter and her boyfriend are both volunteer firemen from Mohegan. So don't tell me that the volunteers don't live in the neighborhood. They do. Okay, my daughter's 24 years old, her boyfriend's 23 years old, and they just bought a house. My son's 29 years old, and he's redoing a house. So it happens. 20-year-old people can do it. They have to work. They have to want to work. Part of our problem in our country is people don't want to work anymore. Don't know what happened. It happened. To make up $1 million condo, you got to work hard. So these places probably won't go that high. They'll probably be a little lower so people can get in the door. Makes sense. You're going to want what you want, and you're going to buy what you buy, and that's it. As far as the rents go, maybe they could put a couple of affordable units in so people could maybe, but that's up to the person
Right, the
who's
developer.
building the property. It's not our thing to say, okay? But my biggest thing is tonight when he spoke, that word got left out. He said owners 55 and older, and it says clearly in this paper that I was handed tonight, residents.
Right.
And residents who live there. So anybody who's there more than 30 days is a resident, and that's how it is. Like you move to another state, you got to change your plates in 30 days because now you're a resident. So that's how it works. Same thing here. You live there more than 30 days, you're a resident. We make that clear right off the bat, first night. No negotiations.
I think
on
you
that.
just taught the town you shouldn't have your visitors stay longer than 30 days.
30 days.
Yeah, that's when they got to go.
That's why we don't need hotels around here either. Yeah, really small places, they leave in a couple days.
And don't feed them.
That's it. Yeah, don't feed them.
Didn't the same thing happen years ago? Tom would remember with that Trump outfit on Route 6 where it was supposed to be 55 and over, and then they didn't fill it, and they wanted it to go under, and they owed the town money. How did that ever get worked out?
They removed it, Mary said.
Huh?
They went back and they removed it. They removed the language.
I think they removed it. I would have to check right
They
now.
removed the they removed the age restriction for a while, and they were renting in there
Right.
where it was supposed to be purchased, as I recall.
As I recall.
And I think that the people that had actually purchased in that particular unit put up a stink about it, and I think now it's back to the way it was, and it's filled, but I'm not 100% certain on that.
Did they ever pay off what they owed the town?
I'm sorry.
Did they ever pay off what they owed the town? They were way behind. They were way behind in taxes.
Oh, I can't answer that right now. I have no idea. Mr. Weingarten?
If I might, Mr. Zuber, just to try to clarify something for the
Sure.
record, not in the
Sure, go
scoping.
ahead.
There are only 2 types of senior housing that are legal in the state of New York and frankly, throughout the country. You're not allowed to discriminate by age. You're restricted from doing that. But there are 2 ways that you can do it. There's certain senior housing that's 62 and over. That's federal. It's very difficult to comply with. It's not what we're looking to do. When I use the terminology of 55 and older, that is a legal restriction. It's not something that you have a local ability to change or anything of that nature. One owner, has to be 55 and older to live in there. You could conceivably have an occasional school child. You have somebody in their 50s that could have a child. They could have younger spouse or
And they could have a-
people
yeah,
in
I
their
was gonna say.
50s could have a child. We're not saying there'll be 0 children. You'll have very few children in a 55 and older community. That's not generally the people that live there. But either the owner of the unit or the primary renter of the unit must be 55 and older. It's a state program. You must follow those laws, and that is what we are doing. It will certainly significantly change the impact to the school district. And your point is, will there be an impact? Yes, there will. It'll be extremely positive, because the taxes that will be generated from this will far exceed any extra cost to the school district if any children are created. Because what we will be studying in socioeconomic is not just the impact of in a negative way, but is also the impact in a positive way. And the impact here is, I know as a fact now that when we're finished and we say that if we are permitted to build 250 units and all of the taxes that are generated, and saying what are the estimates off the assessments as to what would go, and we have to then tell you what we are expecting is going to be the sales price, and tell you what we are expecting to be the rental, and that will be in the DEIS. When we calculate that and have the assessment off that and tell you what the taxes will be for the school district, you will see a very serious, you want to call it a profit or net to the school district annually off of this project. So but I just
a
wanted to
question.
explain that there is a legal definition to 55 and
Is
older.
that how you understand it as well? Like people put that language in the write-up because it's a legal representation that one of the owners has to be 55? Because it reads that all residents have to be 55.
Well,
If you read it,
to Mr. Weingarten's point, you can't set age restrictions on units unless you follow the exemptions that are laid out, like the I forget the name of the federal law, but basically there's a statute you have to follow, and there's certain requirements, and if you don't meet those requirements,
then you can't set a
you
restriction.
can't set a restriction.
It's illegal. So that all of the 55 and older housing that you've
But one of.
heard of in this area are all done under the same program. It's all the same. And you can't change it in this instance. If we do a condominium and there's a condominium association, not only would you need the condominium association to change it for you for those for sale units, the town would also have to agree to it, because it's going to be a restriction, I would assume, in our site plan, if we got an approval, that you would say it must be
And it-
55
yeah,
and older. We could not do it without, as
So
I.
the
if you-
HOA would have to come to us first.
Correct.
The as long as you're up, the price point, that seems like what.
Yeah,
people-
I don't have my client here with me today. You'll have it in the DEIS. I don't have numbers for you today.
Okay.
I apologize for that. I can play an architect, but I can't
Market
play
value.
the principal. I don't know. He hasn't told me what the prices are.
Okay. All right, do we have anybody else who'd like to speak?
So then if one person's 55 and one person's 30, they could live there and have kids. So why do we have the 55 thing in there? Why don't we just eliminate it and make it available to anybody who can afford it? Let's not put 55 and older on it, and let's not put a restriction on it. Let's not be that way. Let's make it condo development. People can move in if they can afford it. They can rent places if they can afford it. Why do we got to push out probably 30% of the people who are looking for homes in this area? Because you're eliminating them. If two people are 30 years old and they could afford the $800,000 house, let them buy it. But because they're not 55, you're not going to let them buy into your development? That kind of, it's losing who you can sell it to, and it's losing who can live in our area.
Yeah, we're losing a market pool.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying, Brian. I think
Let's just take it out.
I mean, obviously, I want to do a deeper dive on that anyway, but I would like to sit with planning, because I think it might be in the like, I'm going to put a shovel in the ground. It might be in everybody's other best interest to have it.
Knock it out.
Yeah, I'm going to speak freely because that's who I am. So I want to look into it. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, because you're
I totally
eliminating
do,
people.
Because I kind of like it too. Like, it's a great development.
Look, I don't care. I'm 56. I could buy in there tomorrow if you
Right,
built it,
but
I
you're
wouldn't
saying
care.
you're losing like the 40s and the 30s
Right.
and the 29s and whoever wants to buy it because you keep it at market value and
And they
you're just
can buy
buying
it
in
if
a
they can
beautiful
afford it,
development.
just like everybody else said. You can
However,
afford
like
it, you
I'd
buy
like
it.
to put the shovel in the ground and do a little more research. I will definitely follow up with
But I
you.
think that,
as
that
I-
might be the best way, and it gets him more people to buy, and then better to get his price he needs to sell them and make his profit.
It might be, but I think that there's got to be a strategic way of why. Oh, he knows. Okay, he'll tell us. I'm like, there's always a why. But I hear that.
I want to make it clear that we're happy to take a look into during the DEIS what this would be if it was not age restricted.
Oh.
This is a proposal that we've made because we believed in coming up here and trying to fit into this community and having a project that would be approved, that you would be concerned with regard to the impacts on your school district. And therefore, if you'd like us to study it, we will show you what we think the impacts to the school district would be unrestricted versus restricted, and then you could make your determination as to whether in which way you would go. We were willing to restrict it in the conversations that we've had because we thought that was something that this community wanted. We clearly would be better off without a restriction because then you can sell or rent to anybody. You're not in a restricted use. We were doing this to soften the school district impacts. If the board feels, after we do the studies and you look at it, that it's in the town's interest to go in that direction, we're absolutely open to that conversation.
You know, we had, well, I'll wait till everybody's done.
Okay.
Tommy has a comment. Do we
A
want to read
natural way,
if he's here?
a natural way to restrict school-age children is the number of bedrooms. So do these plans have 2 bedrooms in every home or apartment, 1 bedroom, 3
Mark,
bedrooms,
my kids
4
still
bedrooms?
come into my room.
Right.
The gentleman brings up an excellent point about the age restriction. I think it is all to do with the developer's view as to whether he feels that it will impact potentially the school district or I'm saying it right,
Yeah.
the school district and the amount of kids that are in the school. There is no doubt with this that you could have someone who is 55 but be married or whatever the situation is with someone who is 30. That would fall under this guideline. But I believe also there is a feeling that possibly that a development may function a little differently if there is one person over 55 as opposed to all younger people. It strikes me as we're talking. Many developments are, just like the Toll Brothers. They also, maybe it's the same way, 55 age restricted. As far as I know, in Somers, Heritage Hills was a senior. There was a major restriction, but that has been changed over the years. So you can change things. There is no doubt that things can be changed. So just leaving that, one other thing, someone brought up the trees and the wetlands. I have the feeling that the way this is set up, because it was office parks, that you are not going to damage that much of the wetlands and the woodlands on the property. And I get the feeling that it would be done responsibly. So that's my comment about that. Okay?
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
That's it.
Anybody else? Okay. I have a comment that I'd like to read in at this point in time from Ken Belfer, who is in the back there. Hi, Ken. In the AMS LLC petition for rezoning dated 10/21/22, the petitioner states in Section 14A that there is a need for the project in the town and the surrounding community as empty nesters or those seeking to downsize from their single-family homes wish to remain in the community in which they have lived and raised their families. The scope of their review should include the housing needs in the town and incorporate existing studies of the County of Westchester Housing Needs Assessment Appendix for the town of Yorktown. More specifically, the review for housing needs should include the demographics of those in need of housing in the town and surrounding communities and the extent to which this proposal addresses that need. There is a need for and an economic benefit to the community from housing for households ranging from young single persons and families all the way through the 55-plus project proposed. There is also a need for housing for those who work in the town of Yorktown, including those that will be employed in the proposed development. The restriction of the entire site to those age 55 and over will ensure that the project will only meet a small segment of the local housing needed. Finally, the scope should include the housing income of the town and surrounding area and the portion of those households who can and can't afford the proposed rental and for sale units. What range of unit size and types would be best contribute to the housing diversity of the town? A mix of both for sale and for rental units that are smaller and more affordable would be desirable in meeting local housing needs. Perhaps the most desired need is for seniors on fixed incomes who are downsizing because they can't afford larger housing units. Will the project address the local need for affordable housing, or will it be exclusively for those in the luxury housing market? Ken Belfer, Chair, Yorktown Community Housing Board. You know, it's a double-edged sword when we talk about 55 and above, and when we bring in where we're going to have younger folks living in there also, because the impact is on our schools. I'm not going to say that we don't want children in our community, because children are our future. I've said that before, and I'll continue to say it. But the impact that our schools will get from having a 55 and above, if we can fill it, will be much greater, I think, for the tax benefit than if we had whoever lived there. Let's say they were 30 years old and had 2 kids apiece, and now they're going into the schools at 250 units. Let's say we have 250 at 2 kids per unit, and now they're going to be going into whatever grades they're going into. Maybe a certain portion should be 55 and above. I don't know. I guess we'll have to see as this whole thing moves along. So, that being said, Jay, you want to come back up?
There's going to be a portion of the people who move into this, I don't know what that portion is going to be, who are going to be moving out of homes. Those homes will then be backfilled by families. So you're going to get your younger families and your children as those homes get sold and recycled, for term of art today, as those older people move into something that's more convenient for them or for us. But I'm not young anymore. But you can't turn around and say it doesn't have an impact on the school. But if I sold my house and a young family moved in with 2 kids, yeah, they're going to be adding 2 kids to the school district.
Right.
And you're going to be recycling the house. No, I'm not selling my house. I'm not. But some people might want to and move in here and recycle the house. That might happen here. It might happen in Chappaqua. We don't know. But it's not a project, it's not a development that is going to hurt. It's a development that's going to help. That's my point. Thank you.
Yes. Either way, it's going to help the community, I feel. So, anybody else? That's it? Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment.
Sure.
You got the.
Sergio would like to make a comment.
We got to show the. Hold on one second.
Hold
We
on.
just got to show the public notice. Okay.
So we'll close it, and then Sergio wants to make a comment.
Okay.
Close the public hearing.
All right. I'm going to make a motion to close public comment on the scoping session.
So moved.
Motion.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. After, we're going to leave a written comment period of 10 days where folks can respond to this scoping session by written comment. Okay.
Sergio?
Yeah, so I got to tell you, not being able to zoom in this is maddening for me. It's been very difficult to follow along. I've heard a lot of comments. I've heard, real estate pricing being set at $1 million, and I don't know where these types of things come from when we don't even know if the project is going to be viable. A couple of issues that I have. As per Jay Kopstein's comments, I agree. If somebody moves out of their house and they move into one of these developments and they're seniors, then who's to say that a younger couple is not going to move into Jay's house, who he's not selling, and not have kids and children, younger children. The idea of having a 55 and over is because the impacts are quite different. For example, I go up and down Revere, especially when my kids were younger, 1,000,000 times. I took them to soccer, I took them to baseball, I took them to karate, I took them to this, I took them to that. You're not going to have that much of a significant impact, in a 55 and over senior living. And the traffic is going to be different. The traffic is more going to be geared toward, afternoon traffic as opposed to rush hour traffic. Because people living there, the assumption is predominantly, not always, that they're not going to be commuting back and forth to work. That's the idea. So the impacts are significantly different. The impacts on the school will be less, although there's always going to be an impact on everything whenever you have a development. Now, who's to say Jay's not going to sell his house and move to Somers, because that's where they have something that's akin to what we're talking about now. And the impact on Jay's house would be the same. So that's why these types of developments are, eye candy. And that's why these types of developments are a little easier on the traffic and everything for a town. And I think that's really the basis of a 55 and over development. Not only that, this development is going to have senior living facilities right on the site, and that's going to cause less travel, right? And so that's the idea behind these things. And so I think that addresses that issue to some extent. I have a larger issue. My issue is the height increase in the buildings, because it's going to increase, I believe it said 10 feet. So for me, that has to be mitigated. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I need more information on the project. And until I get that information, which is forthcoming, because the developer is forthcoming with information and very open and honest. And I look forward to understanding the height requirement increase and all of that kind of stuff more in detail before I would be able to, even move forward with something like this. And those are my comments. Thank you very much.
I had that's been my conversation with the developer from day one, was the height and the traffic. That's generally the two things that are my issues.
Well, if Heaven was listening to Sergio at 55, I could retire.
Yeah, and I'm sure we will work through that in somewhere between 200 and whatever units, and where it's going to be is going to be another thing, and how the road's going to be developed is going to be another thing. The next steps. We will work with the applicant to incorporate any changes to the scope as needed. As a result of the comments received at the hearing, and once we get the ones that are in writing, we will also be incorporating the recommendations from our traffic consultant, Transpo. Once the scope is finalized, the town board will receive a final draft to adopt. This sets the application on a path to complete all the analysis and studies, and it goes through all of our great boards that do such a wonderful job on getting things right. And working with the applicant so far has been an absolute pleasure. They've been very, very receptive to everything we've said.
Our great necessary boards.
Necessary boards.
Yeah, don't do what I did.
I
woke all my boards up.
All my boards. So, all right. So we close the we close the scoping session.
Yes, let's do our
And then we'll
resos.
go down to the rest of our resolutions.
Thank you.
Right,
Thank you.
more
guys.
resolutions?
Thank you.
Gentlemen. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you. Okay, from Buildings and Facilities, authorize a change order to furnish and install duct covers on all refrigeration line sets at Town Hall.
Okay.
From the Comptroller, thank you. From the Comptroller, budget transfer for the Justice Court to purchase office equipment from General Fund, $3,244.97, to the Court Equipment, $3,244.97. Transfer budget for replacement of valves located at the Kitchewan Water Meter Pit, from Kitchewan Water Fund balance, $5,000, to Kitchewan Maintenance and Repair, $5,000. From the Central Garage, authorize the following vehicles to be deemed obsolete and they're scrapped and either scrapped at Brookfield Resource Management or sold at auction by Absolute Auction and Realty. It's a 2005 Chevrolet Cobalt and a 1996 Ford F-350. From Mohegan Lake Improvement District, authorize Mohegan Lake Improvement District members to attend the 2023 New York State Federation of Lake Associations Annual Conference and associated budget transfer. There you go, Ken. Is that for you? All right. From the Northern Westchester Joint Waterworks, refund overpayment for water account number 205990. Overpayment of $302.01. Award a bid for 7-passenger van for Nutrition Center. And it'd be from the general fund. Oh, did I miss something here? No. I got it? No? Okay. It'd be from the general fund. It'd be $84,134 to the nutrition van. For the nutrition van of $84,134. From Parks and Recreation, award bid for pool tile repair. From Refuse and Recycle, authorize supervisor to sign a 6-year intermunicipal agreement with the town of Cortland for use of the transfer station at Roehook Road. From the Water Department, authorized to advertise water materials bid for the Water Department. Okay. Have a motion.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any? Thanks, Serge.
I picked you up, bud.
Any opposed?
I'm still here.
I keep picking you up.
Any opposed? So moved.
Happy Holy Holidays.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I didn't think so. Okay.
Buonanotte, Yorktown. Good night.
Happy holidays.
Happy Easter.